The Dodge Charger occupies a special place in American automotive history, a name that immediately conjures images of raw muscle, tire smoke, and a thunderous V8 echoing down Main Street. When people hear Charger, their minds almost instinctively jump to the legendary 1968 to 1971 models, those sleek and aggressive icons immortalized by movies like Bullitt and The Fast and the Furious. Yet before that golden age, before the pop culture explosion and the high-octane mythology, there was another Charger, one that quietly laid the foundation for everything that came after. The year was 1966, and Dodge was about to introduce something radically different, a car that would bridge the gap between refined luxury and brute American performance. The mid-1960s were a thrilling yet uncertain time for Detroit automakers. The muscle car scene was beginning to take shape, but the boundaries of the market had not yet solidified. Pontiac had already fired the first shot with its GTO. Ford was preparing to stretch the Mustang's image beyond a simple secretary's car. And Chevrolet was getting ready to unleash the Chevelle SS. Dodge, long associated with dependable but somewhat conservative sedans, decided it needed to do something bold. The result was the Charger, a fastback coupe with a sweeping roofline, hidden headlights, and a full-width grille that made it look like nothing else on the road. It was muscular but not brutish, elegant but not delicate. It was, in short, a statement. When Dodge unveiled the Charger in 1966, it was positioned as an upscale entry in the emerging personal performance segment. Unlike most muscle cars of the day, which favored stripped-down interiors and minimal comfort to save weight and cost, the Charger arrived with a distinctly premium character. Inside, drivers were greeted by a full-length center console that divided 4 individual bucket seats. No bench here. It was as much a grand tourer as a muscle car, a place where speed and sophistication could coexist. The dashboard, inspired by aviation design, glowed with electroluminescent gauges, giving the cabin an almost futuristic feel, especially at night. For buyers who wanted the power of a big V8 but didn't want to give up refinement, the Charger offered a compelling balance. Mechanically, Dodge ensured that this new model was not all show and no-go. Buyers could choose from an impressive list of engines, ranging from the reliable 318 cubic inch, 5.2-liter, small block to the 383 cubic inch, 6.3-liter, big block V8. For those seeking something truly formidable, Dodge offered the 426 cubic inch, 7.0-liter Hemi, the now legendary Elephant engine. The Hemi was the crown jewel of Chrysler's engineering department, a power plant that had already proven itself on NASCAR ovals and drag strips across America. The Charger, in 1966, became the first Mopar model to feature this beastly street Hemi configuration for public sale, a milestone that would forever change the perception of Dodge as a performance brand. The street Hemi was a technological marvel for its time. Beneath its massive valve covers lay hemispherical combustion chambers designed to maximize airflow and combustion efficiency. With dual 4-barrel carburetors and a 10.25:1 compression ratio, the Hemi was officially rated at 425 horsepower and 490 lb-ft of torque, a figure that many enthusiasts suspected was conservative. The engine demanded respect, both in terms of performance and price. It wasn't for the faint of heart, nor was it for the average buyer commuting to work. This was an engine for those who wanted to dominate at the track or simply to own one of the most powerful street cars money could buy in the mid-1960s. Despite its mechanical brilliance, the Hemi-equipped Charger was never a high-volume seller. Out of 37,344 Chargers built in 1966, only 468 left the factory with the mighty 426 Hemi under the hood. Of those, 250 were fitted with the 4-speed manual gearbox, while 218 came with the 3-speed TorqueFlite automatic. The rest of the production run relied on less extreme power plants, most notably the 318 and 383 V8s, which together accounted for nearly 25,000 cars. Another 5,900 examples came equipped with the 361 cubic inch V8. These figures tell a story of practicality versus passion. While most customers chose reliability and affordability, a small group opted for raw power and exclusivity. For collectors today, those 468 Hemi Chargers represent a sacred number, a moment when Dodge dared to go all in. One of those rare survivors, a light blue 1966 Charger showcased by American Steel Classics in Celeste, Texas, exemplifies everything that made this car special. Beneath its elegant yet muscular lines lies a piece of history, a numbers-matching 426 Hemi paired with its original 727 TorqueFlite automatic transmission. This isn't a restoration gone wild or a heavily modified tribute. It's the real deal, a genuine article that's weathered time with grace. Remarkably, despite spending nearly 4 decades in storage, the power plant still runs, a testament to both Chrysler's engineering and the care of its custodians over the years. When you first lay eyes on this Charger, it exudes a quiet dignity. The body, finished in light blue metallic, a hue designated as code DD1 on the fender tag, carries a subtle shimmer that seems to shift with the sunlight. Though it was reportedly refinished early in its life, the color choice was faithful to the car's original specification, preserving the spirit of its factory identity. It's not a loud color like plum crazy purple or go mango orange, hues that would later define Dodge's high-performance palette. Instead, light blue metallic is understated and elegant, reflecting an era when power could be expressed with poise. The paint's slight patina and weathered trim tell their own story, of years gone by, of long drives through small American towns, of garage doors lifting slowly on quiet Sunday mornings. Open the door and you step back in time. The interior remains largely original, a dark blue cabin that has aged with character rather than decay. The seats, though showing minor rips on the driver's side and some fading on the carpets, still hold their shape. The dashboard and steering wheel, often victims of cracking or sun damage, are miraculously intact, their surfaces smooth and unblemished. You can almost imagine the first owner sitting there in 1966, hand resting on the T-handle shifter, ready to unleash the Hemi's fury with a gentle press of the throttle. The interior smell, part aged vinyl, part nostalgia, is the kind that only a true survivor can offer. It's not something that can be replicated in a restoration. It's something earned over decades of existence. The attention to detail, even in its current semi-survivor state, is striking. Yes, there are a few non-original touches. The turn signal indicators on the front fenders, for instance, are from the 1967 model year. Purists will notice, but such deviations hardly diminish the car's authenticity. In fact, they serve as subtle reminders that this Charger has lived a real life. It wasn't pampered in a climate-controlled museum from day one. It was owned, driven, and loved. And in many ways, that's what makes it even more special. Bringing this Charger back to life after years of slumber required patience and care. The restoration was intentionally light, what enthusiasts often call a sympathetic restoration. Rather than a full teardown, the car was redone where needed to be a good driver. The original dual 4-barrel carburetors were rebuilt, the entire fuel system replaced, and the front suspension refreshed to ensure safe handling. New brakes and hoses were installed, and the exhaust system was upgraded with Flowmaster mufflers, providing a deeper, more assertive tone without straying too far from the car's vintage personality. The goal was simple: to make it roadworthy again without stripping away its soul. According to the seller, the car has never suffered from rust or collision damage. All its sheet metal remains original, a rarity for any 1960s Mopar, given how susceptible these cars were to corrosion. The undercarriage, though showing signs of age, retains its structural integrity, and the factory welds and seams are still visible. It's the kind of authenticity that seasoned collectors prize, the tangible proof that a car has endured rather than been reborn. Driving a Hemi Charger, even today, is an experience unlike any other. Turn the key, and the 426 roars to life with a deep, chest-thumping idle that sends vibrations through the steering column and floorboard. The sound is raw yet controlled, like a symphony of pistons and valves in perfect harmony. Engage the TorqueFlite, ease onto the gas, and the Charger moves forward with surprising smoothness. Press harder, and the car lunges forward, the rear tires eager to break traction. There's a weight to the steering, a mechanical honesty that modern cars simply lack. Every movement feels deliberate, every shift meaningful. This isn't a machine designed to isolate the driver. It's one that invites you into its rhythm, demanding your attention and rewarding it with pure, unfiltered power. For those familiar only with the more famous 1968 to 1970 Chargers, the 66 might appear understated. Its full-width grille and fastback roofline give it a more European flavor compared to the aggressive, Coke bottle curves of its successors. Yet therein lies its charm. The first-generation Charger carries a unique aesthetic identity, one foot in the refined styling of the early 60s, the other stepping boldly into the muscle car era. It represents transition, evolution, and experimentation. Dodge was feeling its way toward something that would eventually become an icon, and the 1966 Charger is the blueprint of that ambition. When you consider that fewer than 500 Hemi-powered examples were produced that first year, cars like this light blue Survivor gain a significance beyond their mechanical stats. They're historical artifacts, tangible reminders of a time when American automakers were willing to take risks, to blend performance and style in new and daring ways. Each surviving Hemi Charger tells a slightly different story. Some raced and won trophies, others sat dormant for decades, and a few, like this one, managed to endure nearly untouched, preserving a direct link to 1966. Today, the collector car market recognizes that value. While fully restored Hemi Chargers can fetch six-figure prices, the appeal of a well-preserved Survivor often transcends monetary value. There's something irreplaceable about originality, the feel of a steering wheel worn by a single owner's hands, the faint imperfections in the paint that speak to authenticity rather than flaw. This particular car, priced at $72,500 by American Steel Classics, stands as a rare opportunity for enthusiasts who appreciate both history and drivability. It's not a museum piece locked behind velvet ropes. It's a functioning time capsule ready to be driven and enjoyed. One might argue that $72,500 is a modest sum considering what's being offered. A real-deal 1966 Hemi Charger with matching numbers, an unbroken lineage, and a personality that's as captivating now as it was nearly 60 years ago. But beyond the financials, owning such a car is about participating in a living tradition. When you take the wheel of a first-generation Charger, you become part of a story that began in the heat of America's muscle car revolution. A story of ambition, engineering bravado, and timeless style. For collectors and enthusiasts alike, the 1966 Charger represents a kind of purity that later models, for all their fame, can't quite match. It was the first to wear the badge, the first to roar with the street Hemi, the first to fuse luxury with speed in a way that felt effortlessly American. It may not have the pop culture notoriety of its 1968 sibling, but in many ways, it's the car that started it all. To sit behind its wheel is to feel the origin of a legend, the heartbeat that would pulse through decades of automotive evolution, through racing circuits, television screens, and driveways across the country. Even as the world has changed around it, the Charger remains a symbol of individuality and strength. In the 1960s, it represented rebellion within refinement. Today, it stands as a monument to craftsmanship in an era increasingly dominated by technology and automation. There's no touchscreen here, no electronic nanny to correct your mistakes. Just steel, fuel, and fire. It's a car that rewards skill and respect, that demands you engage with it fully. And when you do, it gives you something modern cars rarely offer: connection. As classic car culture continues to evolve, the appreciation for early models like the 1966 Charger only deepens. Younger enthusiasts, drawn by the raw honesty of vintage machines, are rediscovering what made these cars special in the first place. Meanwhile, veteran collectors see in them a reminder of their own youth, of a time when horsepower and imagination defined the American dream. The Charger bridges those generations effortlessly. Whether parked under the neon lights of a modern show or idling beside an old barn, it carries an aura that transcends decades. To look at this particular Hemi Charger, its light blue body glinting in the sun, its engine rumbling quietly as it warms, is to witness living history. It's a car that has endured, not because it was coddled or overstirred, but because it was built with purpose and preserved with care. In every line of its design, in every beat of its massive heart, it tells the story of Dodge's first bold step into the muscle car arena. A story of innovation, passion, and a relentless pursuit of speed wrapped in elegance. Perhaps that's what makes the 1966 Charger so enduringly fascinating. It's a car that doesn't scream for attention yet effortlessly commands it. It represents a brief, beautiful moment in automotive history when performance and sophistication walked hand in hand. Its presence is both commanding and graceful, a contradiction that only adds to its allure. In a world obsessed with the latest and the fastest, the Charger reminds us that true greatness isn't measured in lap times or gadgets, but in the feelings a car can inspire every time you see it, hear it, or simply stand near it. As it sits now, waiting for its next caretaker, this light blue metallic Charger isn't just a vehicle. It's a legacy on wheels. Its Hemi heart beats with the rhythm of a bygone America, a nation of open roads, drive-in theaters, and endless possibilities. For those who understand its significance, for those who hear that deep exhaust note and feel something stir deep inside, this car offers more than transportation. It offers a connection to history, to craftsmanship, to the enduring spirit of the American muscle car. And that, in the end, is what the 1966 Dodge Charger truly represents. Not merely horsepower or style, but heritage. Not just motion, but emotion. A machine built for those who believe that cars can have souls, and that some, like this one, never stop whispering stories from the past, even as their engines roar into the future.